Hi guys, how you all doing? My name is Ben and welcome to my first video in a little while because I've been building this studio which I'm sat in. Fortunately, I'm not lucky enough to live in America and have an enormous barn in the middle of somewhere where you have lots of space to build a studio. So I've had to build it in my garage in Draycott in Derbyshire, but it's noise proof and I'm absolutely chuffed to bits with it. And I can crank up my twin finally to do some videos. And if you would like a little tour around at any point to show you what I've built over the course of a year, let me know in the comments and I will do that. But today we are finally getting on to do a review of my mate Ed's Fender Bullet Deluxe. You might have seen in my last video I did, he lent me his 1962 Music Master and I gave that back, and he was kind enough to give me this months ago, but I was so busy building that I didn't get around to review it. So today we're going to have a whiz through, show you some sounds of it and tell you a bit about it. So this is a 1981 Fender Bullet Deluxe. It was designed by John Page, featuring an ivory single cut body similar to a Telecaster but smaller in dimension and thinner, as these were student model guitars. And I think from other bits I've read, this basically replaced the Music Master. Pretty cool. I had one of them on last and now we've got this. It has a maple neck and rosewood fretboard. It's a 25.5 inch scale length, 2 single coils with a 3-way switch. What's so cool about this guitar, which we'll get into, is this is quite an unusual spacing for some single coils, so it sounds very different to a Strat or Tele, and I think particularly the middle position offers a really cool individual sound, so we'll go through that. These were originally meant to be made in Asia for Fender as student guitars to replace the pre-existing student models like the Bronco, Music Master and Mustang, but they were not up to scratch and the action wasn't great. So Fender made them back at the Fullerton plant in California using a cheaper bodywood and existing bits such as older rosewood Telecaster necks, Mustang single coils and the same electronics as found on a Telecaster. So the way it was described to me when I saw Ed last is he said it's a little bit of what they had lying around. Which again is it's really cool, isn't it? So they tried to make this sort of affordable student guitar. It didn't work out at the time, and they've just taken it back to the factory and thought what's lying about to make a cheaper model, which is where this comes into it. You can definitely feel the influences on the Tele neck, tuners and stuff. The body, again, very individual, smaller than a Strat and a Tele. And then the electronics, again, were just bits they had lying around, so very cool and very unique. There was a Bullet Standard, which had an all-in-one bent steel pickguard which doubled as the bridge, which was cheaper. Ed actually has one of them, and if I'm being totally honest, when I played that, I did prefer it, even though this was the Deluxe. I thought it was a really cool thing I'd never quite seen, so hopefully we'll get it on the channel at some point. So the Bullet retailed at around $200 to $250 with a moulded case. Later on, a more Stratocaster shape was added in 1982, but without the contours, and these came in humbucker or single coil options, and also a 30-inch and a 34-inch bullet base was added. So there's a real variety of these bullets knocking around, really. Here's what Ed says on his little Instagram message while we're at it. These are great little guitars, very light, super comfy necks, more Stratocaster sounding than a Telecaster, but still very versatile. And the build quality is the same as you'd find on other models through the Fender lineup of the time, which is great to say how cheap they can be found. So this cost Ed in the UK about 500 quid with a case in 2019. They've creeped up a bit, but you can still find them as deals. And apparently they're sold with student pair of a Harvard 20-watt solid-state amp as a Christmas deal. So when I saw this, I had absolutely no idea what it was. I'd never heard of a Bullet. Probably like a lot of people, I'd associated a Bullet with the sort of cheaper Squire range of guitars, but from my understanding this was the OG Bullet, and as I've just described, this is one of the posher early Telecaster-y shaped ones. So, as we've said, a couple of single coils, the spacing's really interesting, a tone and a volume, 3-way switch, bolt on, I'll get some close-ups of all this, string through body, but it's pretty basic really. It feels very much like a Telecaster, just a bit different. I think for me, this ivory sort of white, whatever it is, it looks a bit like a hearing aid to me. Isn't massively my cup of tea, but it's cool, and these things, as Ed said in his message, are just cheap for what they are. This is an 80s Fender built in the USA. To pick these up for like 500-600 quid is an absolute bargain, particularly for how good they feel. I would not say this is a cheap guitar at all feeling it. It feels like a standard sort of premium Fender product, and which is now getting a bit vintage, and because it's this Bitzer model, it's getting quite interesting. Sort of to note, I guess it's a really thin rosewood board. I don't know if that's a cost saving thing or not, but it certainly looks thin from above. This neck certainly feels nice and full round C, I'd say. Certainly on the chunkier side. Not massively dissimilar to my Silver Sky, to be honest, which is based on a 64 Strat. So yeah, bit of a vintage feel, really lovely Clusons on it. Not a lot more to say. Shall we make some noises and listen to what makes the Bullet unique? We shall start on the neck pickup. Today we are going through my Fender The Twin in snakeskin. That's probably worth its own video at some point, because I bought that for a couple £100 and a cat was living in the back of it, and it cost me so much money to fix up. Definitely not worth it, but it sounds wicked and it's so loud, but it is very temperamental despite having lots of servicing. So we're going through that on the clean channel. I've got a Spark TC Electronic going through it. It's not adding any distortion in my opinion, it's just doing that great sort of spark thing that they do and making it all, giving it a bit of a lift. And then we'll go through some dirtier stuff as well. Starting with some clean tones and some chords, we will move through the pickups and do the boring bit with the volume and tone knobs. Middle pickup. And finally, bridge pickup. Sweet, so should we see if the volume and tone knobs work? Yeah, not too bad, but we are losing a lot of tone as we roll that volume off. Now the classic tone knob. Yeah, again, not too bad, not too good, sort of in the middle, perfectly usable. So, boring bit's done. Initial thoughts on that is the neck doesn't quite sound like a Stratocaster, but it's perfectly nice, certainly closer to a Strat. The middle is really cool, because for me, that genuinely sits somewhere in between a Strat and a Tele classic sound, whilst not being like a Strat middle pickup or anything. It's super cool and honky, but not weak in any way, and it's probably my favourite sound of this guitar. I find myself playing some funky bits on it, or trying to, as you see in the intro, and it's just super spanky, really cool, really unique, and I'm not sure I've got anything like that in any of my other single core guitars. So that for me is a huge selling point of this specific model, with the two pickups. Really cool, uniquely Fender. You can tell it's a single core spank, but also a little bit different if that's what you're looking for. And as we say, nice and affordable second hand. So to sort of demonstrate that, let's mess around and do some slightly more choppy stuff as opposed to clean chords. Very cool. And finally, the bridge. Yeah, to be honest, that's probably my least favourite sound on it, the bridge. It's very, very close to the bridge, and it's super sharp, but probably a nice usable sound for somebody, no doubt. Right, we're going to move on to some heavier sounds, starting with the neck pickup. Today we have the Joyo Vintage Overdrive on, which is about 20 quid, and it's a Tube Screamer copy, and I really like it, and I always have, so we're going to use that.
Yeah, cool. Some really cool sounds now, I think. Sorry if I'm a bit sloppy. It's been a while, and I'm sloppy all the time anyway, so no real change. We shall tune it up quick. Now, I suppose we ought to have a think about doing some mad sounds, as is traditional. You know, we've done some clean chords at the start. We've done the boring volume and tone bit. So now I'm going to step on to my favourite pedal ever, my Joey Landreth Mythos High Road Fuzz, and see what happens.
hope you enjoyed this quick review of a really cool and probably lesser spotted Fender Bullet Deluxe. I will try and get some more goodies from Ed to show very soon. But I hope you enjoyed it. Hope it gave you a little overview of what's out there and on offer. And I will see you for a video very soon. It's an absolute pleasure to be in my new studio and to have an amp far too loud. And I probably got a bit carried away there, but I hope that was all good. So please give us a like and a subscribe. And I will see you again very soon.